National Day celebrations, and the CE calls on Hong Kong people to uphold China's sovereignty, security, and development interests. And in Macedonia, a low turnout in yesterday's referendum puts the country's name change at risk.
Hello and welcome to TVB News. It's Chinese National Day today. Across the country, different celebrations to mark the 69th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. In the capital, roughly 110,000 people gathered in Tiananmen Square this morning for the flag-raising ceremony. The Chinese flag flying high, it was escorted into the square by 96 members of the People's Liberation Army Guard of Honor. During the ceremony, more than 10,000 doves were released to symbolize peace and good fortune. Here in Hong Kong, the chief executive marked National Day with a reminder to safeguard China's sovereignty, security and development interests. Here's a look at how celebrations unfolded this morning. Chief Executive Carrie Lam received a warm welcome on her way to Golden Bauhinia Square this morning. Principal local and mainland officials stood and sang the national anthem during the flag-raising ceremony. Celebrations soon continued indoors inside the Convention and Exhibition Centre. As expected, Carrie Lam's speech centred on the increased connectivity between Hong Kong and the mainland, notably with the local section of the Express Rail Link entering service 8 days ago. Then, this reminder. The leader said there has to be an accurate understanding of one country, two systems. She repeated President Xi Jinping's analogy that one country is like tree roots and they have to run deep before the tree can flourish. National sovereignty, security and development interests, she stressed, must be firmly upheld. While there was no mention of Article 23 legislation on stage, a National People's Congress Standing Committee member said that should be implemented soon. Tam Yu-chung hopes to see the National Security Bill completed within this term of the government, which ends in 2022. Former Chief Executive Donald Tsang was absent from the reception as he's serving jail time for misconduct in public office. There was no sight of former leader Chou Chi-hua either. He was in Beijing for a meeting, but no word if he'll return to Hong Kong by high-speed rail, officials spoke so highly of. Outside the reception venue in Wan Chai, the League of Social Democrats chanted slogans on the need for universal suffrage and an end to one-party rule in China.
Well, celebrations aside, there was a major protest in town where people expressed their anger over the construction scandal surrounding the MTR's Sha Tin to Central link. Caleb Leung was at the march.
The atmosphere in Causeway Bay this afternoon was hardly as festive as the flag-raising ceremony in the morning. The Civil Human Rights Front organized a march, which began at East Point Road at 3 p.m. Although one major theme of today's protest is about problems with Hong Kong's railway system, some protesters also brought their own concerns to voice out during the march. Notably, freedom of assembly.
It's about the ban of Hong Kong National Party. We are not meaning that we are trying to support Hong Kong National Party, but we are urging about the freedom of assembly.
There are participants who are afraid that their voices will no longer be heard in the future.
I'm more concerned about the 23. If the law is not passed, then nobody can say anything.
If we do nothing, and Hong Kong will become worse and worse, if no one come out and speak for this, and the government will keep on and restricting our rights.
This includes pro-independence activists who joined the march when it reached Southern Playground. Pro-government ralliers were also in Wan Chai, shouting at participants of the march. The protesters used around 90 minutes to reach the east wing forecourt of the central government offices, where a rally was held afterwards. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
Scuffles broke out shortly after protesters arrived at the central government offices. That came after some protesters with Hong Kong independence placards were stopped from entering the forecourt. They were there to join an assembly after the rally. 3 security guards were injured during the scuffles. They were sent to hospital for treatment.
Macau also joined the National Day celebrations this morning. Attending the ceremony at the Golden Lotus Square were its chief executive Fernando Choi and mainland officials. And in the afternoon, around 200 parents took to the street demanding family reunion with their children who are living on the mainland. With temporary stay permits, the parents are not allowed to apply for residency for their children.
Macedonia's Prime Minister is pressing to move ahead with a vote in Parliament to change the country's name. His pledge comes as the referendum in the country failed to secure a 50% turnout for a name switch that would resolve a decades-old dispute with Greece. Peter Koveas again.
There were celebrations on the streets of Skopje, the capital of the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. An effective boycott of a referendum to change the country's name was successful. The vote needed a 50% turnout. If it reached that threshold, it would go in front of Parliament for approval. It fell short, with about 40% participation. But roughly 90% of those who did vote backed the change. The name change deal is not dead yet, but it faces hurdles. Prime Minister Zoran Zaev must persuade opposition MPs to vote for an agreement with Greece. He needs a 2/3 majority to change the constitution to allow for the name switch. But the opposition holds 49 of 120 seats in Parliament, more than enough to easily shoot down any proposal. Zaev said the proposed name change agreement was the best deal they could get with Greece and inclusion into NATO and the European Union. He also said politicians should put national interests ahead of party politics. If Zaev can get enough support, the country would alter its name to the Republic of North Macedonia, ending a dispute with Greece. Demonstrators did not want any name change. This person says they only recognize Macedonia, no North Macedonia. The only change people want now is a shift in parliament.
And this illegitimate government lost everything, so I think they should just quit and go out of the parliament. And there should be an elections now.
The referendum was part of an agreement reached in June. It was supposed to end a decades-old dispute with Greece, which blocked Macedonia's path to joining the EU and NATO. Greece has a province called Macedonia. Athens says its northern neighbor's name represents a claim on its territory. Demonstrators in the Greek city of Thessaloniki were ecstatic the referendum failed. Many nationalists in Greece strongly objected to any use of the name Macedonia by the Balkan state. Peter Koveos, TVB News.
And still ahead tonight. Canada and the US reach a deal on NAFTA. 2 scientists in the US and Japan share this year's Nobel Prize for Medicine. And Kim Jong-un sends Moon Jae-in 2 dogs as presents. Welcome back to TVB News. National Day celebrations are continuing this evening. Tonight, a fireworks display at 9 o'clock. Caleb Leung is already at Tsim Sha Tsui, one of the best spots for the show. So what's special this time, Caleb?
I'm outside the cultural center here in Tsim Sha Tsui. You can see a big crowd of people here waiting to see the fireworks. Tonight highlights include fireworks shaped like a colorful flower bouquet. There will also be patterns of smiley faces and hearts. According to the observatory, we should have fine weather to enjoy tonight's show. That's all I have for now. Back to you at the studio.
Thank you. That was Caleb Leung in Tsim Sha Tsui. The fireworks display was cancelled twice in recent years. One was in 2013 out of respect for 39 lives lost when 2 boats crashed off Lamma Island in one of the city's most tragic sea accidents. That's why the Marine Department issued a reminder on marine safety for those who plan to view tonight's fireworks display at sea. Adults are urged to put a life jacket on children and boat operators to keep a list of passengers and crew.
The National Day Golden Week holiday got underway on the mainland today, and the newly launched Express Rail link is expected to face its first travel peak. Mainland authorities estimated a daily average of 70,000 people will be taking high-speed trains during the holiday period to travel between Hong Kong and the mainland. But as Christy Leung reports, the passenger numbers still fall short of that estimate.
The Express Rail Link's West Kowloon terminus began getting busy at 9 a.m. Given the previous ticketing hiccups, more tickets counters and machines are in service to speed up the process. This mainland resident who is visiting Hong Kong for the first time says it took him less than 20 minutes to come here by the high-speed railway. And these visitors will stop over in Hong Kong before flying to Taiwan.
I'm going to Harbour City to take a tour. Then tonight I'm taking the airplane to Taipei. There's more frequent flights in Hong Kong airport and there's times flexibles.
Despite the travel peak, the MTR Corporation only expected 60,000 passengers using the Express Rail link today, which falls short of the government's initial estimates of 80,000. Only 83 pairs of express trains operate daily this week, instead of 127 pairs, which the MTR Corporation announced earlier. MTRC Chairman Frederick Ma said adjustments were made with their mainland counterparts based on passengers' flows and manpower. Meanwhile, in Sai Kung, a tourist hotspot, it is less busy today than previous National Day Golden Week holidays. Damage caused by Super Typhoon Mangkhut 2 weeks ago can still be seen. Usually 1,000 travelers on island tours, but the number has gone down by half after the typhoon, said this lady. Data piers and other facilities on some islands in the Sai Kung area, such as those on Sharp Island, have been destroyed. Despite a drop in business after the typhoon, this Chinese restaurant operator was happy to see that more tourists were coming in today. Christy Leung, TVB News.
Elsewhere, the United States and Canada have struck a deal on Sunday to salvage NAFTA as a trilateral pact with Mexico. The last-minute agreement rescued the $1.2 trillion open trade zone that was on the verge of collapse after a quarter of a century. The name of the new pact will be changed from NAFTA to the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement. U.S. and Canadian officials worked frantically ahead of a midnight deadline imposed by Washington to settle differences, with both sides making concessions. However, they have yet to settle on tough issues such as American tariffs and access to Canada's dairy market. U.S. President Donald Trump, who blamed NAFTA for the exodus of American manufacturing jobs to Mexico, had threatened to walk away from the deal unless major changes were made.
3 men died after a car exploded in downtown Allentown in the U.S. state of Pennsylvania. Federal, state and local authorities were busy collecting evidence at the scene of the blast Sunday. The explosion, which authorities called a criminal incident, happened at around 9:30 Saturday evening. Authorities have so far released no information about the possible cause of the blast, but officials believed it was an isolated incident with no ongoing threat to the public. No word yet on the identities of the victims. The Nobel Prize in Medicine has been awarded to a pair of researchers from the United States and Japan. James Allison of the University of Texas and Tasuku Honjo of Kyoto University were recognized for their work on how the body's immune system can fight cancer. Both men studied proteins that prevent the body and its main immune cells from attacking tumors effectively. The Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine is the first of the prestigious awards handed out each year. Allison and Honjo will split the cash allotment of about $1 million. And that's the news.
Thanks for joining us.